Boom! What up, OnlyClans fam? It's your boy Breezy. I'm back here with a TFT mid-set update rundown. It's gonna be coming early June. All these changes are subject to change, so don't take it for granted. But hopefully, it'll give you a little bit of insight and an edge on your competitors when this mid-set update does drop. Um, it's a lot of changes, a lot of cool stuff that's happening, so I'm definitely super excited to go through this with you. There's nothing official released by Riot Games right now, but TFTTactics.gg has released their kind of rundown on what's been released, as well as Mort, the lead designer for TFT, released his own video discussing it, which I watched, and they've been playing it on the PBE, or they've been play testing it on their servers at Riot, and they seem super excited for it. There definitely seems to be some really interesting things happening, so we're going to get straight to it. I'm going to tell you what's going on, and we'll give you a brief rundown with this visual here. Void and Valkyrie are gone, which means Kha'Zix, Cho'Gath, and Vel'Koz are all removed. Kai'Sa's removed, MS removed, Kaele's removed, and then Kassadin and Lux are removed as well, which is super strange to me. I think Kassadin was a really great unit, but I think they're trying to do. He had such good synergies that he was like a really good unit. Maybe fit into too many comps. Lux, kind of a mediocre sorcerer with a really unique ability. She was super fun, but she's gone as well. They also removed my favorite galaxy, Lilac Nebula. I'm not sure why. I thought that was so much fun, but I can understand why it could be problematic. Uh, Sad to see that go, though. And then Demolitionist is gone, which is really, really cool. I thought it was a great trait. Um, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with the mech pilots like Rumble, who has Demolitionist, or Ziggs. I don't know if they're going to just change him into a sorcerer. That really wasn't even addressed in the video and the patch notes that I've seen so far. Um, and Gangplank, I guess he just turns into a space pirate. I don't know what they're going to change those to, but should be interesting to see. Demolitionist was a cool trait, but definitely very strong, especially when you had Gangplank with ult upgrades hitting the whole map and stunning everyone. Um, they're adding all sorts of new champions, which is cool because they're removing all of these and adding a ton more, which is awesome. There's going to be 3 new traits. There's going to be big changes to, all the other traits because they're bringing in the new traits, and then a lot of item changes as well. So we're going to just keep going straight into it. Battlecast is one of the new traits where they're introducing Alawi, Nocturne, Kog'Maw, Cassiopeia, Victor, and Urgot. And Battlecast is upon taking or dealing damage 10 times. Battlecast champions heal if below 50% HP or deal damage if they're above 50% HP. And that damage is 75 with 2, 150 with 4, or 250 with 6. And that's healing or damage based on if they're above or below 50% HP. It's a really interesting trait. We'll have to see what happens with items. I'm curious to see what kind of items people are going to put on these units to make them deal damage 10 times, deal damage 10 times as quickly as possible. So like Ludens and Bramble Vest would be like a really quick way to deal damage 10 times, or Static Shiv on top of that. So should be really interesting. Alawi seems like a really cool unit. She's going to be a new brawler as well as the Battlecast, and her ability, she will be slamming a tentacle in front of her, dealing damage and stealing armor and magic resist from targets, and that is going to scale based off of her star level. I think it's 40% if you 3-star, which is nuts. So if somebody's running Vanguard Mystic or a super defensive comp like that, she's basically going to be up there, pretty beefy, and stealing people's resistances. So she should be a really good one-cost unit. And then we'll move on to Nocturne, who's going to be a Battlecast Infiltrator, one-cost unit. And he's interesting for a infiltrator. He's more based off of CC. So when he jumps and attacks and finally ults, he's going to fear people and deal damage over the duration of that fear. So that's pretty cool. They're doing a lot of things in this patch to make the game a lot more strategic and implement a lot more skill expression, such as placement of a unit like this. So, if you set it across from a Jhin or an Ashe or anything like that, he's going to jump across, he's going to fear him, and that's going to significantly decrease the damage output from the enemy team. So I really like that. I think it's going to be cool. Kog'Maw, he's going to be a new blaster, so Battlecast and Blaster. This doesn't exactly, or at least the text here doesn't exactly talk about how strong his ability actually is, but from what I understand, he gets infinite attack range, like 90% attack speed, and magic damage on top of that. And he only has 30 mana, so if he's a blaster and he's constantly getting off auto attacks and you have a Runins on him, he's going to be casting constantly and pumping out probably massive amounts of DPS. This is really cool to see Kog'Maw come in here as a blaster. It gives another chance for a carry, as well as with this Battlecast synergy. That should be really, really cool. Because I can imagine with Runins and Ginsu's, he could attack 10 times very quickly. And then 90% attack speed on top of that when he ults. So, wild. Now, Cassiopeia, probably one of the most interesting units / crazy units that's coming into this, along with Urgot, but we'll get to that. Honestly, Cassiopeia, Victor, and Urgot all seem really, really strong, but I like that they're introducing these types of units into TFT. I think it makes for a more exciting and fun-filled and fast-paced game. But yeah, Cassiopeia launches fangs at the nearest enemy that isn't poisoned, dealing damage over time and reducing the effect of shields. It cuts shields in half. I watched this in Mort's video. It's 50% shield reduction, and her damage is absolutely insane. It starts at 800 from what I see. Again, all these changes are subject to change, but at least for now, Cassiopeia as a 1-star unit is going to cause 800 damage over time to enemy units and also reduce their shields by 50%. So she, in my opinion, she's going to be a direct counter to Protector, which is kind of weird, but there might be ways to counter Cassiopeia herself. I'm not really sure. We'll have to see. And again, only 25 mana on this unit, so you put a Seraphs on her and she's just going to be casting constantly, dealing dots to the whole enemy team with massive amounts of damage. If I remember her 2-star and 3-star damage, I want to say it's like, I think it doubles up to 1,600 and then goes up to 3,000 when she's 3-starred. So, huge 3-star carry with a Mystic bonus. She's going to be a damage-dealing Mystic unit, which is really interesting. But I love it. I think it's going to be really fun. And then we'll move on to Victor. Victor burns a path between 2 enemies that are farthest apart, by the way, dealing damage instantly, and then again after a short delay, dealing damage again. So yeah, he basically, it's just like his upgraded E on Summoner's Rift. He can shoot the laser, and then the laser will do damage again with the aftershock. He's a Battlecast sorcerer, so obviously that damage is going to get ramped up by the sorcerer buff. Which we'll talk about later, but there are some changes to the sorcerer buff as well. And the other cool thing that's unique about Victor's ability is that when people are spaced out, like if you have 2 snipers on separate parts of the board, he's going to hit from that unit to that unit and everything in between, which is nuts. So the way to kind of counter Victor moving into this mid-set update is to clump up your units, But again, Mort had talked about seeing him absolutely just make teams disappear with AP items and sorcerer buff. So you'll have to be on the lookout for. You can go. I'm sorry. But yeah, we're gonna move on to Urgot. Urgot is a Battlecast Protector. He has his ult just like he does in Summoner's Rift. He is going, when he hits his max mana, he's going to shoot and pull in the farthest unit, I think it is, and do like 2,000 true damage over time until they die. And then every time he hits that ability, his mana cost gets reduced based on his star level. So at 1 star, it gets reduced by 10. At 2-star, it gets reduced by 20, and then at 3-star, 30, I believe. So, not that you're going to 3-star Urgot, it's going to be super difficult to do. It might even be more, because usually when you do something like that, they make sure that it's absolutely insane. So yeah, he's going to be constantly one-shotting people, especially if he can get that ult off and keep reducing his mana. Urgot's going to be so crazy and so much fun to play with. So that I'm looking forward to that. And then there's another new trait, Astro, which is super exciting. Bringing in a new Vanguard, Nautilus. Astro champions, by the way, anytime you have an Astro synergy, which is just 3 of them out of the 4, so it's honestly a pretty big part of your comp, but all of their mana costs are going to be reduced by 30, which might seem pretty crazy, but they all have really high mana costs. Like Nautilus has 100, so it's only going to be 70. He's going to start out using his ability just like a Blitzcrank if you have the Astro synergy. But still, 70 mana is a lot, especially compared to these champions we saw up here that have 25 mana, 30 mana, So that should be interesting. Bard, we'll get to that, but 60 mana when it's reduced. Teemo 50 mana when it's reduced, which is really good, and then Gnar again 70. That's pretty crazy, but Gnar has a very big ultimate, so I can understand why that would be something to be careful with. Nautilus's ability is really cool because when he casts, it's going to hit his target and the people around him and knock them up and stun them. I think the target itself is for 3 seconds. It's like a long CC, if I remember correctly, which is super helpful. Like I said, they're implementing tons of CC into this new set update, which makes the game a lot more strategic. And you have to think a lot more about your skill expression and your placement of units on the board, which is a lot of fun, in my opinion, And then we're going to go on to Bard. Bard's really interesting. More related as a headache because they're introducing this XP type of synergy where Bard has a passive where he gains additional mana with each attack. And then when he hits his ability, Bard launches a meep onto your bench that can be sold for XP. So this unit does absolutely nothing for you other than auto attack and give you XP. With the Asterisk synergy, it could be really good, or this could just be a unit you throw into a Mystic comp to get that Mystic buff and also get the XP over time and then sell this unit later. But that's really interesting. We'll have to see what kind of combinations and builds that Bard could be a part of to really get people ramped up on XP. It should be fun to see. And then they're bringing Gnar back, which I love. I was a huge fan of Gnar back in the day when he was a shapeshifter. Shapeshifter was one of my favorite traits ever. But yeah, so Gnar is going to have pretty much the same ultimate. He's going to transform into Mega Gnar, he's going to gain stats, and he's going to throw enemies around, dealing damage, stunning them, being a huge CC threat. Gnar's ultimates used to be able to completely turn a fight. We'll see if that's still the case. I hope so. I love Gnar as a unit. I think them bringing in these, all these units they're bringing in are so cool. I'm a huge fan, honestly. And then bringing my boy Teemo into TFT, finally. That's what I'm fucking talking about. Sorry for my French there. But Teemo is going to be an Astro sniper, which is super surprising, but I can understand why they're making him a sniper. They're also adding Vayne, who's going to be a sniper. So now there's going to be 5 snipers in TFT, which is super cool. His ultimate is still going to be the mushrooms, though. Apparently he puts 3 mushrooms down around his nearest enemy, and then it's going to delay them, damage them, knock them down, and slow them. So I'm not sure exactly what the knocking down portion of that means, but the slowing thing is pretty interesting because that's not something we've seen normally. It's either hard CC or nothing at all, or a disable of some kind. Or disarm, I guess you want to call it. but we've never seen a real like slow. So when Teemo hits melee units, it's really going to make a difference in those fights, and it should be really fun to play with. I'm super excited about Teemo. I'm going to try and put him in as many comps as possible. And then new trait, Paragon. It's a new 5 cost unit. Janna. Paragon seems like a crazy, crazy trait because Star Guardian allies deal true damage with basic attacks, and all the other allies deal magic damage with their basic attacks, which basically means if you're running Star Guardians, this is the new Void, at least for their basic attacks, which could be very, very good. Because you can have a Star Guardian, and stack them with AD items or attack speed items, and they'll be just as strong. You know what I mean? Put it on Soraka, and she's gonna be constantly healing the whole team while doing tons of damage, especially true damage. If you have Janna in, and then those units like Vanguard and Mystic are just not going to matter at all. Mystic is going to be huge this patch though, because even when you have Paragon, your basic attacks are still only doing magic damage as opposed to physical damage, which could be bad in some comps because somebody might have Mystic but not have Vanguard or not have armor items. But we'll have to see how this turns out. I think this is a crazy, crazy trait, but it's going to be really fun to play with. But yeah, if somebody has Paragon, you do not want to have Vanguard, I can tell you that. And then Janna's ability seems really cool as well. Super unique ability. But when she ults at 130 mana, which is a lot, so honestly, she'll probably get 1 cast off a fight, which is going to be more than enough, because she summons 5 tornadoes which fly towards the enemies, and they grant any of the allies that she hits with those tornadoes are going to be granted attack speed, and then it's going to knock up and stun enemies. So when she ults, everybody's just going full ham, and you're probably going to wipe the team if you have a good comp and you're win streaking. Really, really cool unit. Should be interesting to see what kind of comps she gets played with, especially as a Star Guardian herself. So they are adding 9 Star Guardians, by the way, so it should be interesting, and fixing the bug. I think Star Guardians are going to be super crazy. Originally, I guess this Chinese player figured it out, but Star Guardians were not getting their full mana after each cast. So they're fixing that bug, and that's been like since release, I suppose. So they're fixing that. So Star Guardians are going to be working as they were intended to, which should be really interesting to see. I think they're going to be super strong, especially with the addition of Janna here and the 9 trait, which we'll see if people can get to. It should be super fun. Alright, and then some other champions they're adding with the existing traits, which is what I'm super excited for. I think they're bringing back Zed. Vayne's coming back, but she's going to be a 3-cost unit. And then Riven, who I don't think we've seen before in TFT, if I'm not mistaken, with super low mana cost, but she's going to be... I'm excited to talk about this, but we'll start with Zed. And Zed is going to be a Rebel Infiltrator, so you're adding a Rebel, adding another Infiltrator, which is awesome. I think they're really trying to change how Infiltrators are supposed to be, auto attack based assassins. At least in my opinion, you know what I mean? It seems like a lot of Infiltrators were very ability based in this set so far, so it's cool to see like an auto attack based Infiltrator coming in to this mid set update. So Zed's passive is every third auto attack, Zed deals bonus damage and steals a percentage of the target's attack damage. So you could see how that could get really, really strong, especially if he has a ton of attack speed plus the Infiltrator bonus. He's going to be murking people as a 2-cost unit, at least in my opinion. I'm not sure exactly how the damages go. I can't recall everything that I saw in those Mort videos except the stuff that I saw that was super crazy. I know Riven's damage is crazy. I know Vayne's damage is crazy. But I don't know. I don't think I remember if Zed's is crazy enough to be a carry, but definitely a core part of an Infiltrator comp now. And it's cool to see him as a Rebel, so you could run Rebel, Infiltrator, Blade Master, and make him a Blade Master potentially, and you could have a really, really strong comp that's getting shielded, getting attack speed bonuses, and having their auto bonus happen more than once. So, that's just kind of my theory crafting based off of this, but should be a really fun unit. I liked Zed in the past, and I think he's going to be a good unit moving forward. Next up is Vayne. Vayne's going to be another cybernetic unit, which is super exciting. It always sucked being forced to get Echo to complete the cybernetic trait, mainly because Echo wasn't that good. You'll see the changes that they're making to him, but as of now, not that great of a unit. So it's great that they're adding Vayne in as a cybernetic unit, and again another sniper. So that's going to be really cool. I think they're really liking the sniper buff, and I really do too. I think it's super unique that it does damage based off of how far they are away. Um, you know, so her ability is going to be for a duration. Vayne tumbles away from her target, and again, every third attack. Okay, so yeah, when every third attack, or once she hits her ability, it doesn't stop. It's like Kale, where that's just her effect now. So once she hits her ability, every third auto attack, she's going to be tumbling, becoming invisible, and dealing increased damage um, for that duration, or on that every third auto attack. So that's going to be a fun unit to play with. Her damage is pretty crazy, if I remember correctly, so it's really cool to see a 3-cost carry, just like Cassiopeia. I think they're trying to implement that a little more, besides Bard. um, but yeah, that's going to be really cool. Riven, I'm so excited for Riven. She's going to be a Chrono Blade Master, which was so needed, in my opinion. Shen was the only Chrono Blade Master. Other than that, there's not a single Blade Master in the Chrono slot, and Chrono and Blade Master synergize so well just because you're getting that bonus attack speed over time. And whether you wanted to go 6 Blade Master or 6 Chrono, Riven's going to be in that comp regardless. So Riven's ability at 25 mana, by the way, which is super low, so again, another potential Seraph's user. But I think is going to be based more off attack speed because she has such low mana. She won't have a problem getting to that threshold to cast her abilities constantly. But she dashes forward and shields herself, then slashes forward dealing damage, and then every third cast, so every time she gets to her third ability, basically, like she casts 3 times, she's going to leap into the air and launch a damaging wave of energy, and also knocking up and stunning people. I'm not sure why it doesn't say that, but yeah, she's going to be a crazy unit, potentially better than Irelia, based off of what I'm seeing. So super fun to see that. I'm so excited to play with Riven. All right, then we'll go straight into the items. Let's see if there's anything else. I don't know why they're doing items first, but we might as well talk about it because it's going to play into these traits changing as well. So yeah, they removed Demo Spat, and they're making this become the Battlecast trait, which is really cool. So that's going to be your Demo Spat now, is the Battlecast armor. I am pretty sure. Yeah, so they're changing Chalice completely. Chalice was a very problematic item, mainly because if you stacked chalices, you'd hit the mana printer, and it didn't really matter what comp you'd be running, your team would constantly be casting abilities, and it just made the comp really, really strong if you could hit a bunch of chalices. So they're changing that to when combat begins, the wearer and all allies within 1 hex will gain 35 AP for the rest of combat. Could be really good with sorcerers, could be really good with Star Guardians, or the synergy of both of those. And again, you could still stack these items and potentially get up to 100 AP if you just have, I'm sorry, 70 AP, and then up to 105 AP if you had 3 chalices on somebody, to that wearer and all the surrounding units. So I could really see that being super strong in a sorcerer comp. I've been running a lot of sorcerer GP, which I find to be so much fun. I could see this playing in perfectly with that. That should be a lot of fun as well. Deathblade is being changed, thank goodness. Deathblade was very problematic with the change of it in its last patch, where it just cranked people's AD ratios through the roof and made snipers really strong, made Irelia really strong. Anybody who scaled really well with AD. Yeah, so they're changing that to when the holder's basic attacks on an enemy, or yes, when the holder basic attacks an enemy with 20% health or less, that enemy is executed. It's a crazy change, but I think it's still way better than what it was. And I also think it fits the name a lot better. Deathblade, execute at 20%. I think that's great. Giant Slayer is going to be really, really strong in my opinion. Again, they're fitting the name a lot better. But attacks and spells deal 20% bonus damage as true damage, or 80% if the target has more than 1500 health. So against a mech or against somebody with Warmogs, which is now way different, instead of the health regen, it just grants 1000 health. So yeah, that's going to be a really cool item, especially it's still going to be a part of blaster comps. It's still going to be on a Teemo potentially at this point. Which would be really cool because you're getting the sniper bonus as well as the Giant Slayer bonus. So that's something to look out for sure. They're changing Gunblade to heal for 35% of all spell damage dealt, as opposed to the basic and the spell. So they're making it much more spell-based, which is perfectly fine with me. I think Gunblade was not that great of an item, except for like on Kassadin or Jace, somebody who really had strong autos and a strong ability. I think it's still going to be, well, they're removing Kassadin, but this could still really be really good on some spellcasters, so that's going to be fun to see. Infinity Edge is being changed. You're going to gain 100% critical hit chance and 20% bonus critical strike damage. So you only need one IE now. And then you just keep stacking AD on top of that. So I know they're bringing Shaco kind of back to his original state, so I think an Infinity Edge Shaco crits anyway, but this is just going to give him that 100% chance to crit, along with the crit strike damage, which is really, really cool. So I could see an IE with GA and Bloodthirster, Shaco coming right back to kind of how he was before they nerfed him early on into this patch. Jewel Gauntlets are basically going to be the same thing as Infinity Edge, but just for spells. I think that's a good change. But yeah, not that huge of a change, just adding a little bit of damage to it. Ludens, they're changing to flat damage across the board, as opposed to it leveling with star level. I think this is a really good change as well. People really weren't building Ludens on anyone. Unless they were 3-starred and it was a unit that utilized Ludens very well. And even then, though, 225 bonus damage for a 3-cost unit to take up an item slot was not that great. So you should see a lot more 2-cost units running Ludens Echoes now, especially with the units that they're introducing, such as Cassiopeia. I could see Ludens, Gunblade, Cassiopeia with a Seraphs or something, and I'm sure it would be pretty ridiculous, because again, Cassiopeia only has 25 mana. And yeah, so Rapid Fire Cannon is being changed to its old form, where the attack range is tripled and attacks cannot be dodged. Super important because Graves, being the problematic 1-cost unit that he is, making people miss, making the person with the highest attack speed miss. So he shoots a smoke bomb at your carry, and all of a sudden their damage output is gone remarkably down. So this is kind of a counter to those types of things that are going on. So yeah, I like this a lot. I remember back in the day with Rengar, that was super strong. So we'll have to see if there's going to be any melee units that use Rapid Fire Cannon and won't miss their auto attacks. I could see this going really well with Master Yi. The only reason the whole Blade Brothers composition kind of fell off is because people were starting to counter with Vanguard and Bramble, but and that could still potentially be an issue, but Rapid Fire Cannon is going to make it so that all of your autos are going through, and Master Yi is going to get that true damage off, which is super strong. So Rapid Fire Ginsu's with a Deathblade on Master Yi, I could imagine that being really, really strong. Yeah, and then the Warmogs change I addressed when I was talking about Giant Slayer, but I like that they're making this change. This is really cool. Just 1,000 health straight up. Is going to synergize really well with Brawlers, is going to synergize really well with any unit that you just want to be beefy and be your front line. It's a lot of health, but again, it should be not that big of a deal, especially with Giant Slayer and people that know how to work against a lot of health, you know. Seraphs is being removed and it's being renamed to Blue Buff, and now this set, whoever has Seraphs, every time they cast, their mana is just going to be set to 20 afterwards. It's not going to give them 20 mana after they cast the ability. It's just going to put their mana at 20. So that should make it run a little more fluidly, which is really good. And then we'll move on to the updated traits. So Chrono, they added the 8 bonus, and again, there's no numbers here, but if I remember correctly, the 8 Chrono attack speed buff is given every 3/4 of a second, which is huge. That's a huge payoff if you decide to go 8 Chrono, which is going to be super difficult, and a huge gamble. You know, I think that's definitely like a for fun type of thing, but it could potentially be good if you have the right items on your carries, especially Riven. You know, I think Riven's going to be a super strong unit. They're changing Dark Stars. They're also changing the amount of Dark Stars that you need to get those trait synergies. So it was a 3/6/9, and now it's a 2/4/6, and I think there's an 8 as well, if I'm not mistaken. Because how many Dark Stars are there now? They removed Lux. They didn't add any Dark Stars. I think you can still get to 8 though if you get a Dark Star spat or 2. Don't quote me on that, but they're also changing the way Dark Star works. They're changing the amount of AD and spell power that you get from each of those trait synergies. I'm not sure about the numbers specifically, but it also now triggers when any ally dies. It doesn't just have to be a Dark Star unit. So you could be level 9, you could have 4 Dark Star in, and the 5 units that aren't Dark Star are still going to give that buff to the Dark Star units, which is super cool. You'll have to, and again, they're changing Shaco back to like his normal form, so you're gonna have to watch out for Jin and Shaco coming up on this patch. I think they're doing a great job balancing all this stuff out while also accelerating the game and making it much more fast paced and deadly, one could say. Star Guardians are now a 3, 6, and 9 bonus, which is super fun. I think you get 70 mana if you hit 9 Star Guardian after they cast. It's going to be super hard to hit, obviously, because it's a 9 trait. So you're going to be running only Star Guardians, but with Janna and the Paragon buff, I could see this being so much fun. It should be really cool. Yeah, that should be awesome. I'm excited to see how Star Guardian does, especially with the bug fix. And then snipers, so they added a 4 sniper bonus because they added 2 snipers. So now there's 5 snipers in the game: Caitlyn, Ashe, Jhin, Vayne, and Teemo. And I think they're also changing the way sniper works so that your damage is multiplied by how many hexes the damage travels, or how many hexes the sniper's damage travels, which is awesome. You know, they're just making that trait even better. And I think they're reducing the damage at 2, at the 2 trait bonus to 12%, and then adding, making it 20% if you have 4 snipers in. So, you know, you could see 4 snipers with 4 vanguards, or 4 snipers with 4 brawlers, you know, potentially just wrecking people from really far away, and also having really good abilities now. Not so much Jhin and Caitlyn and Ashe, although Ashe is also kind of getting changed, so she's going to be able to function a lot better. But I could, you're going to have snipers that are using a lot of crowd control and doing tons of damage, so it's going to be really interesting. Teemo and Ashe just alone are going to bring a lot of CC to your team. Those synergies, aren't going to be the best, though, that's for sure. I don't see the updated traits for Celestial on here, so I'll just touch on that real quick. I believe they're changing Celestial as well. They're buffing Celestial 4, and then if you decide to get 6 Celestial, they're making it 99% healing of the damage dealt, which is pretty bonkers, but Celestial's pretty weak, and it gets countered directly by blasters with red buff, so I understand the change and the draw to make more people want to play Celestial. I definitely enjoy playing it, so it's unfortunate. It's going to be harder to get, though, now that Kassadin's gone, so, but there are still Celestial spats, and there's still enough. There's still 6, so should be fine. It just wasn't mentioned on here, so I figured I'd mention that. Yeah, moving on to Sorcerer. They removed 8 Sorcerer bonus, which is kind of lame. I was a huge fan of running 8 Sorcerers and then putting in a Gangplank at level 9 and him doing like 120% spell damage to the enemy team and one-shotting everyone. Pretty broken. Pretty fun, though. Hard to do, honestly. Hard to stay in the game long enough with like just Sorcerers to be able to pull that off, so I didn't think it was that big of an issue, but I know they're buffing the damage on 6 Sorcerers to make up for removing 8. And then, yeah, Vel'Koz is gone, but Victor's being added. Victor's going to be a lot of fun, so it should be cool to see. Vanguard, they obviously added Nautilus, so now you can run 6 Vanguard, which is going to give you 750 armor. You're not going to be doing much damage if you run a 6 Vanguard comp. But who knows, with the combination of these snipers, you could hit level 9 and have a Fawn and have 6 Vanguard and 4 snipers. Or 6 Vanguard and 4 Mystic. And probably have a really, really strong comp that just doesn't die. So we'll have to see how that goes. Should be really fun to see, though. I'm super excited for this mid-set update. And yeah, I think that about covers it. These are just some bug fixes and whatnot. But yeah, I am definitely super excited for this mid-set update. Again, I think Alawi's going to be really cool. This Battlecast trait is really crazy. I don't know how many people are going to be building 6 Battlecast, but it seems like a pretty interesting trait bonus. And then obviously these 3 units, all the units that they're introducing as Battlecast units seem a bit stronger than what's currently being played. So that should be fun. The addition of Bard as well, being able to level up passively by just having a unit in. You just have to make sure you have a really strong team before you put a Bard in and invest in that XP. Yeah, and Nar's back. Paragon is going to be really cool. Urgot's going to be crazy. I love that Teemo's here. Riven's going to be fun to play with. I'm very sad that Lilac Nebula's gone. I'm very sad that Kassadin's gone. That only leaves 3 Mana Reavers in the game. Thresh, Darius, and Irelia. So you're going to see some changes with Mana Reaver comps, I'm sure, or people that are going to be running Mana Reaver. And also a Celestial's gone. So it's going to be interesting, man. I'm super excited for this mid-set update, though. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.